welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Okay, shall we do the daily check? Current blood sugar is sitting at 9.8. I have 3.175 units of insulin. I being started off today about 5.9, 5.8. And I went up to 10 and been hanging around 10 all morning. So, we just have to keep going. 10's not bad. For me, 10's not bad. Personally, I'd like to be in a tight control, but that's something I can achieve right now. Okay, time and range. This has improved quite a bit. 89% time and range. Yesterday, I brought that down quite a bit. I think it was like up to 30 something. Maybe you can take a look and see. May have been 20. But we brought it down to 11, which makes this a 9. And this is more respectable average sugar in millimoles per day is at 7.7. So, pretty good. To me, it's not an excellent day, but I can be happy with that number. Today, I want to tell a story. And this story is how I ended up with this little device. And this little device was a step in getting. It wasn't as easy as walking in and saying, I want a pump. But we'll discuss that. So grab a coffee, tea, hot chocolate, whatever. Sit back, relax, and we'll get going with the video. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the story about how I got my pump. My very first pump. I've had a few since then. But my pump, I had begun seeing my endocrinologist because I was in the hospital because of foot infection, and my endocrinologist and I connected. They gave me her, and I kind of liked her medical style, and so great. I started to see her on the side. A couple of things happened while I was seeing her. I was on 2 shots a day, breakfast and lunch, breakfast and dinner. Those are my 2 shots. I would eat whatever I wanted during the time, but those were my 2 shots. I continued to have my low blood sugars or my high blood sugars. I really wasn't under control that well. So she said, I'd like to see you outside of the hospital. after I was discharged, is what I'm trying to say. So we met up. I went to her office. She said, "Okay, great, but I need your blood sugars." And I said, "I tell you the truth, I haven't been doing blood sugars for years. I have a glucometer, but I really haven't been utilizing it." She kind of made an ultimatum saying, "Well, if you're going to come see me, I have to see your blood sugars." So I went back home and I said, "I'm going to show her." I don't know, it wasn't that aggressive, but I said, "Okay, I'll do this." So I made up a template on the computer. I started to write out my blood sugars 4 times a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, bed. And I don't know why this time it clicked. I started to do it all the time. One of the other stories delves into this. And she would come back, take a look at the blood sugars, and I said, "These blood sugars really do not make any sense." And she said, "To the untrained eye, they don't, but to me, they're telling me a story." Basically, the multiple shots, the 4 times a day, really isn't working for you. I would like to start getting you ready for an insulin pump. Now, I had had an insulin pump years ago. It was a white cube thing, and I seem to thinking Nordisk was the maker of it. But my diabetic nurse, has corrected me that it wasn't a Nordisk pump. But I got the pump, and then went through the whole treatment plan, and I did get the pump, sorry. We needed to start the routine. Sorry, I led you astray there. So I'm going to put you on a new long-acting insulin. And this long-acting insulin was Levemir. And she said, hopefully with this long-acting insulin and doing the 4 shots a day, we'll start mimicking what the pump would be doing. Awesome. I kept up with doing the blood sugars, and I did it for about a week, keeping my blood sugars in line, and then something happened. I missed a blood sugar. It was lunch rush at work or something, and I completely forgot about doing a blood sugar. And I went home and I opened up and I said, "Oh no." But you know what? I just got back up, dinner time, did the blood sugar, and we were on our way again. And so doing blood sugars 4 times a day, now doing the insulin 4 times a day with the long-acting insulin would start mimicking what the pump would be doing. Okay. Next step was I'd have to get a book. And this book is called Pumping It. And I can remember I had to order the book online. It was the first thing I ever ordered online. We ordered it, it came back, and I started reading it. I read it cover to cover twice. So I thought, okay, hey, we're ready for the pump. And then we ordered the pump. And I got the pump and I thought, hey, this is going to be easy. I know what I'm doing. And then the doctor dropped the news. You know, I think you'd do better if you took part in classes. And so I took my pump and all the supplies to the classes. Pretty well every time you start a new pump, you go to classes. Lately, it's been with my diabetic nurse who works with the pumps with me. But we do pretty well that way. So I got on, and I remember taking the class, taking everything I needed with my pump to the class, and the class took about 2 hours. But we set up the pump, and I kind of remember I had to reduce the amount of insulin I was taking so the pump could start. We hooked it up. I took all the materials and I was ready to go. Hell, we were ready. We were on our way. I went with everything and had to go home, but it was later than when I normally ate. So there was, what was it, I think Swiss Chalet, or it was a chicken or ribs place. I think it was like, and I went there for dinner and I had chicken or ribs and garlic bread, you know. It was quite a starch-filled meal. I typed in the carbs, went home. I went to bed high, but I figured, okay, it's the pump's just got to do what it's got to do. In the morning, I woke up lower than I normally did, but okay. I went to work. I didn't have to worry about my injections. I went to work. This was awesome. And for 2 years, I used the pump exclusively. I did a change of jobs. I'd gone from working at a convenience store to working for an eyeglass distributor. So, okay. But when I went to the pharmacy, to get my tubing, see my tubing here? I was told it wasn't covered. Because before, I would just take it with my medical card and the insurance company would cover the tubing and my insulin and anything I needed for the pump. Okay, so I wasn't really okay. The new plan I was on didn't cover insulin tubing. So I really had to stop and had to go back to doing the injections, and I went back to doing them 4 times a day and getting Levemir insulin. My endocrinologist knew about this, and I told her I couldn't really afford it right now. So she understood. She said, but I'd like a little bit tighter control with you. So I'm going to send you to what I call diabetic daycare, which is something that it's an educational class. So I went and I met up with my current diabetic nurse, and we were doing the 4 shots a day. Well, they changed our supplier at work that I didn't know about yet, but I did my first meeting. She asked to see my pump. I gave it to her, and she said, the receptionist said, I don't know how to get information off this. So, okay, I never knew you could. And she said, oh, yes, yours is an older model, and we'll have to work on that. So I started working at it, and then da da da, Medtronic, who made my original pump, went and changed all their interface and their tubing to make it more proprietary, meaning that it was all going to be working just with Medtronic pumps. So it was harder and harder to find this tubing. So we started to go try to find a new pump. And since that time, I haven't looked back. I finally found funding to get the Neo, the Medtronic, I think it was Veo, not Neo, Veo pump. And since then, I've been with Medtronic pumps all along. They're pretty good. Now I'm in the best control I think possible with my labile diabetes. So thank you for listening. It took a little while. I know I was all over the place, and I apologize for this, but hopefully next story time will be better. Have a great day, and we'll talk later. Bye now. My email address is Mike's Diabetes World at gmail.com. All one line. Drop me